This show is proudly brought to you by the #Me Network. Access granted.
Kia ora and welcome, and thanks so much for tuning in to our episode number 22 of Access Granted, our weekly Kiwi tech and media podcast. I'm Raj, my background's in design, media and technology.
And I'm Mike, and my background is information wrangling, connecting people and getting things done. And you're here because you're a Kiwi that either works in or has a great passion for tech or media in New Zealand.
Episode 22, let's get our focus on for the week and the events you can't afford to miss. Right, my focus for the week, just before we go on.
Where are we, Raj?
Where
are we recording today?
The Studio B7.
Waitangi Park. It's a stunning Wellington Monday morning. No, it's not. It's a Tuesday morning.
It's Tuesday.
And we thought we won't go to a cafe. And we didn't do anything on the weekend because it was a long weekend. So we thought we'd come out and sit in the sun with our coffees and record. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You can't beat Wellington on a good day. This might be
We found one of the good days. We've got about 7 left for the year, right?
We have.
And then we're off.
Look, if
Back
this
to
is Shitsville, anybody who hasn't seen the most wonderful calendar of weather events or weather seasons that's floating around Facebook and Twitter, you should go and see it. It's a circular calendar. It's hilarious. So we should be in the middle of Shitsville now. This is what it's called.
Shitsville,
And to be
New
fair,
Zealand.
this is a beautiful day. Anyway,
Very nice.
we're not here to talk about that. What do you want to talk
Well,
about, buddy?
this week I was going to talk about meetings because... Yeah.
No!
Well, just in terms of what the hell are we doing at these meetings? You know what I mean? Because we book an hour, 2 hours, whatever. They go overtime. I'm sick of all that kind of stuff. And this is not even just the fun ones, all the boring ones as well, you know, where no one's taking notes, well, they are taking notes, and no one spreads them around. And I'm just wondering if it's a common thing amongst organisations that meetings just drag on, and we should go in for 20 minutes rather than an hour and sort everything out and piss off and get back to work. Or is there some sort of reason or positive to just hanging out for an hour?
I think one of the things about meetings is that I'm only got a bunch of tips that you're going to go through. One of the things that I found in about meetings is if it's booked for an hour, I always do 50 minutes, by the way.
Same.
Yeah, 50-minute meetings. But if it is booked, everyone seems to think that they have to stay there for that long.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got to fill the time up we're talking to make this meeting work.
Just fill it up.
What? Otherwise you've got to go back to your desk and do work.
That's probably why they do drag it on in some instances, yeah.
And the other one is, of course, people don't see meetings as work. And that's probably because most of them aren't.
Well,
but it's
they're
like,
time out, aren't they?
Yeah. But that's not all of them. But anyway.
I see that more with bigger or medium to bigger organisations.
Yeah.
Whereas the entrepreneurial community would be just in and out, let's just get going, because you haven't got time to piss around there. But where in some sort of organisations, they sort of go, we'll just hang out for a little bit and then wait for the next person to come in on the video conference or whatever it is.
I think the word meeting as well is dodgy. And most people that see a meeting, I stop calling them meetings now and call them, well, whatever is appropriate for the, you know, what are you going to do at the meeting, and call it that. We're getting together to do this. So getting together, I suppose, is what I call them. Or a conversation. So it's like, hey, we need all to get together about X project or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you get together. And not say, we're going to have a meeting about. Because as soon as you say a meeting about, then all of that baggage of, as you just described, comes to play. So if you just say, hey, look, can we just all get together? And the other one I try and do is not have it in a quote-unquote official meeting room.
Ah, yes.
So it seems ad hoc. So can we just get together? I'll grab people tomorrow morning and look, we'll just go and sit in that cafe, or we'll just go to the kitchen, or we'll all just come round to Johnny's desk because he's the person with the thing that we need to talk about. So it's then a get together about a thing, and you go, you talk, you do, and then everyone goes away.
Yeah.
As opposed to that meeting, you get up, it's booked, you go in, you sit at desks, everyone waits. You take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get the phones working.
That's right, yes. I don't know why they don't just use Google Hangouts, but that's just me.
Bert, who is not, is the most important person there, is always late. You know, all of those classic meeting attributes.
That's probably why it takes the hour too.
Yeah.
All that faffing around.
Just getting going.
Yeah.
But, having said that, there is a thing about meetings that actually is quite nice, and for a lot of people it's the only time they get together officially, as in that they're allowed to sit and chat.
Yeah. That's why I wondered if it was more of a timeout part of a component as well.
Well, it's just a relationship building.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said, what are you working on? And everyone chats, and that is actually quite valuable.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I agree.
but if that's not what you're on about, if you want to get efficient... So
I was just wondering...
meetings, I hate the word meetings.
Yeah, exactly.
Then go on then, what's your first
I was just
step?
thinking, I was looking at some steps via Evernote actually, so it's a bit, note heavy, but because I use Evernote and I'm sure people use OneNote and all the other hooplas out there. Actually, by the way, on the side, you can tweet us and let me know what you use, what's useful. That'd be quite good to know, just so...
In meetings?
Yeah, in meetings or in general, just managing your management stuff.
You're looking for new apps for your shiny, huge phone.
That's right, isn't it? I've tried a lot, and I go back to Evernote and things like that anyway.
Oh, well,
but yeah, the tips for making meetings more productive was look at, you're right, hey, do we need to even hold the meeting to start with?
Yes.
One of those sort of things. Spend less time in them and then consider it making shorter. So you're right with your idea of get things done in a short period of time, just the points, bullet points, and then just get out.
I'd not have bullet points.
Yeah.
I'd have a reason.
Yeah.
Like a challenge, or there's an issue that we need to overcome, and I can't do it on my own. I need you three people's brains in the room because you have different skills. But this is why we're together.
Yeah.
For this particular thing. So it's like, could you help me get over this problem? As opposed to, let's sit and chat about...
Kumbaya and all that. yeah.
Exactly.
I'm over that sort of meeting.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed, we don't share enough notes. Not all organisations share their notes that they write themselves. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, and some may not even have a CRM, and some do. But who uses it really? Except for the startups out there who love software. Who else uses CRMs properly? Really? So I was thinking, well, maybe there's a better way to share notes.
So this is a meeting if you have externally with a client or something.
Clients and internally. So you can say, hey, these are the action points we will discuss. You're doing this. Off you go, do it.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes you go, oh, did you do that? And the other person will go, I think I wrote it down, and that's it. That's your notes, So if we had more concise notes, or at least shared notes, maybe.
Or one friggin' doc that you can all edit.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Just stick it in one place so that everyone can stick their notes in there and make the doc. If you have to write docs, stick it on a whiteboard and take a picture. It's best. But if you have to write it down somewhere, have it so that everybody in the room can edit that document, and then make that a living thing. Make that if you're going to go for an issue, you should go for one thing, as I say. We've got to solve this problem, or we've got a new opportunity, or whatever it is. Then that document that you create from the meeting becomes...
You did air quotes, by the way.
That becomes the driving document to solve it all. And once the issue or the opportunity's gone, or it's finished, then you can close the document. But you don't have the meeting minutes just on their own. It's like, what the fuck is the point of that?
Yeah, exactly.
Government departments.
Yeah, and one of the other things I wanted to do is we should close the meeting by assigning the tasks, or having, hey, you're doing this and I'm doing this, and go off and do it. That's
very clear.
Yeah, because if it's vague, then no one knows, and then next meeting comes along.
Yeah.
Oh, have you guys done any of that? No, work got on the way.
Oh, I didn't know I was doing that.
Yeah, I had other things on my to-do list. Well, yeah, that's exactly where those points should have gone too, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, So I'd be interested to know how people work out there, and if they have the same problems, or if they've found a way to fix the problem.
It'd be nice to know the sort of the life hack type things. What's the small little things that people do to survive the meetings that they have to go to make them more productive? It'd be great to be able to share those. So how are people going to share that, mate?
Oh, they'll flick it to us on our Twitter stream, #AccessGranted, which goes to our post page on the day we upload this particular post, and on all the others. There's a Twitter stream there. Or they can email us at accessgranted@gmail.com, and then we can sort of bleat about it next time round, if you like.
Wonderful. Cool. Well, my one's a bit different.
Yeah.
My little...
Carry on.
No, you're not pushing buttons?
Oh, I was pushing buttons.
You were pushing buttons.
Because it's shiny.
Huge phone. My one's about...
It's getting a bit heavy, actually, I'm holding it up like that.
Startups, very specific about startups.
Okay.
There's two tensions. Most tech startups nowadays sort of work along the lines of fail fast, learn quickly. Something along those. If not the whole business, then certainly in features or in products, you want to get something out, learn from what the experience are from people, and then grow from that.
Right.
That's how most, not all, but most startups do it. And it's not written that in code. The other tension, of course, is that startups don't talk about failure.
No.
We never hear about we tried that from small things we moved that button from the left to the right, and actually it didn't work. We got less customers, or most people got confused, so we put it back. So that's a failure, and that's a good failure. You know, you learn, you don't do that again.
Was it because of the negative connotation that comes with the word fail?
Yeah, maybe.
They didn't want to publicise. They just say, yeah, we did this and we got these many users and blah, blah, blah.
There's a lot of talk about success. There's a lot of talk about growth, and also all the way up to startup companies who try stuff and fail. And this has been spurred by a great post by Laura Reitel, who was one of our...
initial interviewees, eh?
One of our interviewees. Yeah. She works at builtinwellington.com is the site, and she's got a great one, which is 30 founders share why their startups failed, which is an excellent post. And it's just got a whole stack of quotes from startups. And I'm going to read you 3.
Okay. So this is where they failed... And they've learned something from it.
And they've learned something from it. So this is, I don't know if they fail fast, but they're actually sharing it. That's probably my issue.
That's what makes sense. You've got a community here. Why don't you help each other out, right?
Exactly. It's not fail fast. No one wants to fail fast, but you've got to learn quickly. Because if you fail fast and don't learn, then why bother?
Yeah.
So this one was from the Canvas app. It may seem surprising that a seemingly successful product could fail, but it happens all the time. Although we arguably found product and market fit, we couldn't quite crack the business side of things. Building any business is hard, but building a business with a single app offering and half of your runway is especially hard. My point there being, particularly startups, but young companies, but also any company that goes through change, to be fair, they focus on the thing, the app or the service or the thing that they are defined by, and they forget about the whole business stuff. You've got to have someone who's focused on the business. Do we have all the product risks? Are we going to the right markets? Or are our staff happy? Are we going as a company in the right direction, not just the product? Many startups.
Well, from my point of view, is what they're perceived in the market to be as well. What kind of things that people think they do, and do they do that and deliver on that or not?
This one has 7 things. This is Monitor something. The 7 deadly sins. Number 1, the lack of a single "the buck stops here" leader. Yes, many mates who start a company together, then they sort of flounder around, and no one's quite willing to say, "I'm in charge." It's okay if you're not that person, and someone in your team says, "Right, I want to focus on the business and I'm in charge." Take it as they are the people who have, hopefully, the skills and the aptitude to do that. You're not a lesser person because of it. No separation between the technology organisation and the product organisation. Too much PR too early. Let's do this one. The next one. What's the all those people who go through their
incubation
and all that?
Yeah.
Too much money.
Oh, that's a hard problem to have, isn't it?
Well,
too much money, sure.
Fart around. Welcome to the 2000 bubble. Not close enough to the customer, slow to adapt to market reality, disagreement on strategy both within the company and with the board. That's a biggie. I'm seeing that a lot with some of the startups at the moment, that they're not able to either articulate why they exist. Why does this company exist? Oh, we've got a shiny new product. Yeah, that's not why you exist. If it is, you're stuffed.
There'll be others out there, though.
Yeah. Right, and my last one. Now I've got to scroll down here. So talk amongst yourselves. Where is it?
So, listeners, what have you been up to lately? Yeah, me too, man. That's awesome. Keep going.
Oh,
and we're still scrolling.
Yeah. I thought it was near the top, but it's gone. It's a great post. You should go and see it.
I'll fix it on post.
Here we go. Now, this isn't a reason why it failed, but it's okay. As you say, fail and learn is all good.
Yeah,
and
this you learn something.
Salorix, I don't know who they are. Number 21 it is. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and this one did too. It's better to fail fast than to have a slow death. So fundamentally they're saying, look, it's okay. That happens.
Yeah.
Move on.
That's the thing, move on.
Move on,
yeah.
Learn, and don't let it drag out. Again, I know a whole bunch of companies that you go, oh, mate, advice has been given, just stop. Save your money, flip, do something different. It's not going anywhere. And not everyone can. You're emotionally tied to it. Waveadept,
yeah, true.
The old company we had to Google, we would have done the same, but we were luckily bought by someone. But, eventually, probably within a year or two, we would have been one of those Oh, you should have stopped a while ago. So anyway, there you go. That's my little focus for the week. It's a great post, and it's really good that people talk about failure and what they learned from it, both internally and why their startups failed. So go and read it.
What was the URL again?
Built in Wellington. Let me just say, builtinwellington.com/ these are all hyphens between the words here. So builtinwellington.com/30 founders share startups failed.
If you go to the homepage, you should find it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. Right, this week's events. One I found was the Saturday Makerspace session happening at the Central Library, 1st of November, so that's this weekend. And what I saw is actually going to go from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock every weekend after that, which would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you've got something that you might have heard about from before.
Yes, my event for this weekend is of course, the Hack Miramar that's happening
What's
in
that about,
Miramar.
Mike?
So that's an event close to my heart, being one of the organisers. What is it? It's bringing 50 people together to tackle serious transport challenges for the peninsula and wider Wellington. So it's a 2-day event for Saturday and Sunday. 50 people are going to come together. They're going to be developers, designers, planners. We've got tons of data. We've got sensing data out in the peninsula, well, all over the city, actually. We've got data from the airport. We've got data that's been hacked off various websites and weather and stuff like that. We've got a ton of data that's coming out of the council and maps, and we're going to put up transport challenges. So we've got 5 potential ones, and these people are going to come up with solutions, probably some sort of tech solution. And at the end of it, we're going to have like a dragon's den. Hopefully we're going to get Celia along, and
that'd be cool.
The idea is that anything that has legs, we will then pass on that team to the relevant people, be they commercial, be they council, and say there's a thing that you can go and create, and there'll be hopefully money behind it. So that's this Saturday and Sunday out in Miramar. Where can you find it? hack-miramar.wikispaces.com.
This week's interview is with DK. Now, some of you may know him through the social media channels. He came over a couple of years ago from Wales. He had a company called Media Snackers over there. I've seen him speak a few times. The first time I met him and he spoke was at the Social Media Club in Wellington at Old San Fran Bathhouse. That's where he sort of gave us a synopsis of where he's been, come from, and what he's been doing, and all the innovative new ideas he's bringing over to New Zealand. And Mike had a chance to catch up with him.
Yep. So here we are. It's just me today. Normally it's Raj, but poor old Raj is ill. He's been ill for the last 3 or 4 days. So I'm sitting here with DK in, where are we? Got to say thank you to Goldings, of course.
Always.
We do a lot of introducing Goldings. Now we're here with DK. Now I'm going to let you explain why DK and nothing else. So DK, explain your name and why I'm sitting here with you in Wellington, particularly because of course you are from Wales.
I am from Wales. DK is my name, my legal name. So there's nothing
To
more
explain?
sexier than that. It's DK Jones, if you want it, the full bit.
Yep.
Which is a proper Welsh name, which is quite nice. And yeah, we're sitting in Wellington on a typical Wellington day.
God,
2 Welsh boys just talking.
It's freezing out there at the moment, I've got to say.
Just like home.
No, the rain at home comes downwards. It's coming sideways and going up my leg when I came in here. It's like, Spain. Oh. So DK, you came to Wellington a year and a half, 2 years ago?
A little bit longer now. So
Okay.
2.5 years ago I arrived, and I lived in Christchurch first when I arrived in New Zealand, Doug. And I did about 10 months in Christchurch. At the time I was a social media manager for a national education company.
Yep.
And the HQ was in Christchurch, hence why I moved there after the earthquakes, and it was a fascinating place to live, but to be honest I found it tough to live there. And they had an office here in Wellington, so I made that transfer. And Wellington, as you know, and probably a lot of your readers and listeners will know, is just a fantastic little town, city.
It is a little place, isn't
It's
it?
a great, accessible little
Yeah.
city, and it's great to wander around, and it's just really cool, good divergent mix of people, and I really like it here. Yeah,
So you went to Christchurch and you was what? Social media?
manager.
What does
for,
that mean then?
Well, that's the fun bit. Yeah, my main focus was trying to build capability in that organisation, so that they weren't just reliant on a person to do that big job that means social media. So I was doing a lot of training, a lot of those meetings where I'd literally ask what I thought was better questions, whether it be in the events that we were running, like how do we use social and social technologies and social media, or the policies that we were hopefully impacting on, this is education, and how can social be a part of that discussion when we're teaching kids, or even in terms of professional development for teachers in the educational sector.
Oh, okay.
You know, where does social lie in that? I'm just having a lot of fun with them. The good guys called Core Education. They're still going.
Yeah, I know.
Check them out. They do some fantastic work. Good people. And learned a lot. Came here because of that job, so I've got to be very thankful for them.
See, so you've been doing the social media. I don't want to call it social media. It's a bit passe. I can hate the phrase. The socially stuff online.
Socially stuff.
Prior to here, obviously, you didn't turn up and go, right, let's do that.
Well, in my social background, I suppose,
yes.
In 2006, I started my own company called MediaSnackers.com. And that was focused on how, and this was the tagline at the time, how young people consume and create new media. Because it was new back then, new media, and then it morphed into this social thing, didn't it? But in 2006, I was probably one of the few people who were really trying to look at this space with a critical eye, or critiquing eye, rather than critical, because it wasn't negative, it was more that this is cool, this is a good time to be in, be living in, and my background was youth work before that, working in local authorities, and working my way up, and became the first ever corporate youth officer for any local authority, which basically meant that I had foot in two camps, one delivery of young people, but also had a corporate agenda within the corporate team in the local authority. So writing policies and developing strategies from a corporate perspective, which is great. And then, like I say, 2006 was when I first started, and it was a blog. In 2006, it wasn't a business. It was literally in June 2006, started that blog, and literally within a month, someone had approached me and said, would you like to come and train our youth group up on this social stuff? So how can we train these young people to do podcasting and utilize these things? Which was easy for me because I was a geek, but also I've worked with young people before, so I just mashed those two worlds up. And then again, in a month's time, someone would say, could you come back and train us as youth workers? Because now we need those skills. And bang, a year later I was delivering social media training to everybody and anybody who would pay us to do it, and we dropped the youth bit off it within 18 months of launch it, because we realised it wasn't a youth focus, this technology thing. And about that time social emerged as an idea and as a construct, and platforms emerged around that. You know, basically the MySpace, the morphed into the Facebooks, morphed into the Twitters and all these other things that we now know and see before us. So I did that for a good number of years, employed a handful of people, travelled to 5 continents, and spoke a lot of conferences. And
here on your site you've got Gates Foundation, and so doing that's what you're doing with those guys? Really
humbly, you know, I'm a guy, as you know, from South Wales Valleys, have no real right to be doing what I was doing at the time, which was flying around the world, speaking to people like the Gates Foundation, helping UNICEF to craft a corporate strategy around how to leverage social media to all their communication offices across Asia Pacific. You know, and doing training around that. It's like, whoa. And feel very, very lucky to be at the zeitgeist time to both have the skills to be able to roll that stuff out, but it was pure dumb luck. It wasn't strategic direction of my career. It was got on at the right train at the right time.
Well, I'd probably say the same. The cloud for me, it appeared, and I was going, that's what we'll call it. That it used to be Web 2.0. That's when I started back in the day.
Web 2.0.
That's right, and it's like,
are we on 3 yet?
I haven't upgraded yet. There was crashes when I upgrade, so no, we'll stick to.
The update's coming soon.
And then you came, obviously, here in New Zealand and in Wellington specifically. Were you doing that then, the social...
So the social media manager role was obviously for that organisation. And I did bring my business with me, and the idea was to relaunch it here, but that never really happened. And then I left there after about 18 months and did a bit of freelancing. I spent about 8 months being a business designer for a design studio here in Wellington. and in between always did the digital stuff. So I was very much in the advisory, mentoring capacity.
Yeah.
And I still do that to this day, still trying to figure out what I'm going to be when I grow up. Got any ideas?
No, I haven't got any at all, mate. Happy. That's what you're going to be when you grow up. Just don't make it sound like you're not happy now. But the other two things that, and we'll leave the biggie, the one you're most famous for, probably, the TED. But the other one is that, are you still doing your innovation podcast? Is that as and when?
Yeah, it is as and when. So
Yeah.
it started because I got fascinated by this real cacophony online of innovation content. And I thought a lot of people were getting it wrong, because of course I know a lot about it. So the way I find out about things is I talk to people.
Yeah.
And if anybody who's quite knowledgeable about social media, you can leverage that conversation into content. So that's all I did with the podcast.
Okay.
Innovate. What was it? Defining innovations. I spoke, and I think I've done a dozen now, speaking to people who have innovation in their title, or at least helping companies to be innovative.
Yeah.
And asking them how they bloody do it, rather than me trying to figure it out myself. Which is what I did with Media Snaggers. Interviewed over 200 people. We're doing cool stuff in social media.
Yep.
And learned rapidly through that model. I think it's a fascinating time to be alive that we can do this. We can jump on Skype and
So you can reach out. Yeah.
but also to gain experience through other people.
Yeah.
And people don't do that. They don't reach out and say, I'd love to just talk to you and Skype it, and then through that create some content around it and try to go a little bit deeper than just reading a little article that's been phrased nicely and don't really uncover a lot. So those conversations, just like these that you do, they're just trying to converse with people and to lift the lid a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Most people look at social media as just mediums in which to market themselves, which it can do very, very well. But probably me and you and some other people out there go, well, it's also a raft of other tools that can help me to develop my skills, my ideas, my professional insights. And that's all the podcastings are for me, is just to uncover an interest and see if it sustains itself, you know. And it's a beautiful opportunity because we have Skype and the internet to just ask people, and it costs very, very little. You can cost free if you really want to do it for free, but you and I probably use other platforms just because it's a little bit better, you know, quality in terms of that. Like anything, you graduate up. There's so many platforms you can do this stuff for free, you know, and why aren't people doing it? Because probably they've never tried it. That's the biggest thing. They think that it takes a lot to do this, but all it takes is curiosity and time.
Yeah. So the particularly obviously with Basic Violence, and I know you and I both done work with government agencies. I hate the phrase "the government" because there's no such thing. And 2 years ago, 3 years ago, probably collaboration was the word. It's still floating around, but innovation certainly last year was the word. It's like, you know, we have to have some innovation. We have to innovate. We're going to have a meeting on Monday to innovate. Be prepared. I'm being facetious, but it feels there is a little bit of that. Where would you put not just the government, but also large organisations in that innovation space in New Zealand?
My one reaction is to say I'm not qualified enough to answer that question.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Your view.
My view, exactly.
Your view. It's only it's all it can be, mate. It's all our views.
I think it's a cultural question rather than a specific innovation question.
Okay.
Which leans into the answers I used to give around social media and still give, which I don't think it's a person's job, and I don't think it's a specific platform, for example.
Okay.
It's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of sharing and being transparent and reaching out and celebrating your community, and celebrating them through featuring their content, and by doing that align yourselves and blah blah blah, right? That's could be written down as a strategy, but it's a mindset. And it becomes a mindset, it becomes ingrained, which then turns into a culture if there's more than one of you doing it. And that's how culture kind of shifts happen. And it's the same with innovation, surely. Anything that's different needs one or two people to enact it, or at least start the conversation. Invariably it ends up being written down somewhere, which is rubbish, you know, let's see the action. however much you believe it could have an impact, or even how you can create systems and processes around it. And until you do it, and that's the most important word here, is doing something.
Yeah.
And playing, and you'll never get it right, and give yourself permission to play with a purpose. And that's all I've ever done with learning social media and technology, and you see the cultures out there that have really embraced that, like Intel and all that, who've embraced the culture of play. Google is a perfect one.
Well, Spark, to be fair, they've struggled through, but they've come up with, the free Wi-Fi and whatever. That all came out of hey, let's give it a go. So it can be done in New Zealand.
Of course, yeah, and maybe that's where. Maybe that's where I'm kind of struggling with the question, is that it has a New Zealand focus, and the world in which me and you play in is very much online.
Yeah.
And I got friends and clients who are global, so it's hard to just have a New Zealand lens for me. But if I had to, I would say, New Zealand is always seen as an innovative place.
Yeah.
Always in the kind of cultural context and the language that comes out.
Yeah.
And in some spaces, I totally believe that. And the number 8 wire scenario, they will try things.
Yes.
But when you look around, there's pockets of it. Maybe it's just because it's such a small island and it's a small demographic that we expect more from it, because we think it's bigger than it is. So maybe by that virtue, it's punching above its weight already. But isn't that a good thing then? Because now we want it to be more audacious and bold, and that's not a bad thing to want from the country.
No, absolutely. We want everyone to do it, as opposed to
It should be an asylum.
And you're right, because it's definitely that Kiwi attitude, or that not attitude is wrong. Well, it's the self-perceived Kiwi attitude, and then it's also the image that is placed upon New Zealand. It's exactly that number 8 wire, and that you just get on with it and you do stuff.
And it's an odd place in the sense it's probably becoming populated more by expats than it is, naturalised Kiwis. And there was a couple of stats out there that I'm sure I'm probably speaking out of turn and forgot and dreamt this, but isn't like Wellington made up of transient folks, more transient folks than people who literally stay here?
I've always heard that, and I've never got any stats to back it up. But there's a question for everyone. Yeah.
Maybe we've just
again that's that image, and I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it is.
It feels like it.
Ever since I've been here, it's been 92 or whatever it was.
Right.
It's always been the phrase that's been used.
Cool.
So I don't think it's not one I made up. I can remember friends telling me this is, most people aren't from Wellington anyway. And if you meet someone who's born here, I've got some friends who are born here, they're always, mate, I was born here. It's a badge to wear.
It's a thing to wear.
As opposed to, well, in fact, we were all born here, so this is not important enough. So it's always held as something. So but I don't know. I don't know what the stats are. We've well encountered everybody. Tom Beard can go and do that for us.
There we go.
There you go, Tom. There's your homework for you, mate.
Challenge.
Yes. I have no tweet this because he won't be listening. So there's the innovation stuff.
Yeah.
And the social media stuff. And, of course, as I said, I'd leave it to the end, is the one that I suspect most people who don't know you from they might know you from online, but how they know you is definitely the TED, being the TEDx Wellington licence holder. Had you done TED before you turned up in New Zealand? Were you a licence holder anywhere else?
I've spoken at TEDx Cardiff, and I've been involved in TEDx Cardiff behind the scenes as well.
Okay. Yeah.
As a speaker liaison guy,
Yep.
So I was helping out literally behind the scenes. And I spoke at TEDx York as well. So I've been and I've attended probably a good half a dozen, probably about 8 before I arrived in New Zealand. And I love the format, and as a speaker I think it's highly challenging and it's cool and it's fun, and it's just another format like Pesha, with one difference, that it has this huge brand behind it. It's that TED brand, that ethos of quality and of people presenting like their life depended on it, which is a lovely phrase that comes out of TED, and that's evident in the videos that they share, and the quality and the caliber of people. When I arrived 2.5 years ago, I looked up when was the next TEDx in Wellington, and realised there'd only ever been a TEDx Wellington Youth, which was like in 2011.
Ben did that. I remember that way back when.
Back when, and I was the only public one.
Yeah.
And there'd never been another one, so I applied for the license. And the way the TED system works, the license system from TED, is that you can't just have a city license. You've got to graduate up to that. So I ran something called TEDx Tiaro, Tiaro being the region, like it was smaller than the city, on the level 1 license, which is basically you can only have 100 attendees. So these are the rules and governance laid down by TED. And we ran those twice, and I attended TED Active this year, which is one of the big conferences in Whistler, Canada, was horrible, obviously.
You struggled through.
Well done. Just for Wellington, man.
Yeah.
But that enabled me. You have to do that again to enable you to apply for a city license.
So TED Active, you said.
Yeah.
Was that an attendee conference, or was that a TED?
Yeah, so the
focused?
main big TED, as I like to call it, happens every year, obviously, that most of the videos come from.
Yeah.
And that had happened in Monterey, California for years. And last year was the 30th anniversary, and the first time they held it outside the States. So they held it in Vancouver, first time. And around exactly the same time, they run another satellite event called TED Active, which usually is run like 25 miles away from the main TED, and that's usually much more immersive. It's streamed, all the content is streamed into that conference. So you get attendees, and most of the TEDx organisers around the world go to that.
I see.
Like an unconference style. So there's a lot of workshops around it. People can stick their hand up and say, I'm going to do that. Anybody want to turn up?
Yeah.
So it's a lot more chilled and active, hence the TED Active.
I see.
So I went to that one as and it is billed as one of the big TEDs. The main TED is that, and TED Global. Those three as the main TED.
So sorry, TED Active, that's not just for TED license holders or TED people. Anyone can go.
Yeah.
But generally, that's where the TED people will be.
At least half of the attendees are, probably more than half that I met anyway, personally, were running or involved in some TEDx event around the world. So it was great for me to connect with people who've been doing it for years, to steal their ideas, to borrow from the best.
Stand upon the shoulders of giants.
Exactly. And for them to listen about what we're doing in New Zealand. Because, as you're probably aware, there's TEDx Christchurch, TEDx Auckland, TEDx Queenstown, Wanaka, and Tauranga. I think that's it. If I'm missing someone out, I apologise. But there was 4 of us there in TED Active. It was Kyla from TEDx Queenstown, Christchurch, Trent from TEDx Queenstown, and Sheldon from TEDx Tauranga.
Awesome.
So we all attended, and Sheldon and Trent and myself were attending, so we can go up the level. And the TEDx Wellington is obviously the city license now, which I got and ran last month, and that lifted the lid as well on the 100 limit. So we did it for 300 this year. TEDx Christchurch is up around 700, 800.
Wow.
And the Auckland one is 2,000, and then some.
Wow.
Massive. So you can see the scale at which these can go. They're proper big.
Proper big.
Proper big, like.
We just need somewhere in Wellington that can host proper big, that's the problem.
Actually, Wellington's got an embarrassment of riches when it comes to venues.
You reckon?
Yeah, Michael Fowler, the Paramount, the Embassy, the Opera House, where Waveadept, Shed 6.
But they're all about the same size though, aren't they?
They all about, Shed 6, 300 capacity. 300. If you open it out in different formats, you can get 800 in there. Opera House up to 600, I want to say. Paramount, bigger.
Something like that. They're all
Michael
500.
Fowler, big, 1,000 odd in it. 1,500 maybe.
Yep.
1,200.
And then after that,
then the
then you go
stadium.
to the stadium. I think that's probably the issue, isn't it? It's not necessarily. We've got a lot at a certain level, and then we've got potentially the TSB Arena, and then you have to go to the, whatever one it is. ASB, TSB. And then you'd step up into the, and now you need 40,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe one day.
I'm going to do an event there. We'll talk to you about it afterwards. But it's going to be awesome.
Cut this out, Raj.
No. That's right. No, you can get excited. This is a geek event that I'm going to help hold. Not in the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
At the stadium. And there's lots
Love
of
it.
Very excited. Yes.
Do it.
Very cool. So you've done. So we talked about social. We talked about the innovation stuff, which was really, I don't say hobbies unfair. It was your way of going, that sounds interesting. I'm going to reach out and talk to people. and then TED. So TED, what drives you to do TED apart from there wasn't one, therefore I have to create it?
Yeah, that's the main driver, and also trying to give back to a community that I felt I got a lot from in the past 6 years since they've been throwing the videos up online. And also when I arrived, I knew nobody, and kind of in my head I thought, well, hopefully this community will give something to me, like a purpose or friendships and stuff like that. But I also understand I got to give to the community first, and it was part of that idea. So there's lots of different ideas, and I like doing the events. I like organising, and the creativity wrapped around it is just fun. Being able to help people as well to have a global voice, because TEDx Wellington, some of the videos we've thrown up. From
so they're going up now, aren't they?
They're up there, yeah.
Are they all up there now?
Yeah, they're all up there. 2 weeks ago we posted them. They're already, a couple of them have hit nearly all of them had hit the 4 figures views, and a couple of them have hit the 5 figures, so got some really good viewership.
Where would people go to? It's TED.com, I suppose, is it? Or
go to TEDxWellington.com,
okay,
and then you'll be able to find a link directly on the front page that goes to all the videos.
Perfect.
And then, or you can just search on YouTube TEDx Wellington. Bang, they're all there.
Yeah.
And I really urge people to go and do that, because you start to see the real gems that this town holds. It's just fantastic, innovative ideas, people, and you get to see them, and watch them, and listen to them, and enjoy their stories through a really simple format, which is tell your story in under 18 minutes. A lot of them are under 18 minutes, so it's and then follow up, tweet these people, say that you've watched this stuff, connect with them. It's not just about impressing someone and clicking next. It's about, well, what can you do with that story?
Yeah.
Can you share it?
Well, you were saying that you reached out through the Innovation Podcast, and you were reaching out with people that were in Australia and America and wherever you. Well, you can reach out to these people, and they're just down the road.
They are.
Not all of them, but most of them are just down the road.
And they're on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
You can connect with them on there.
Exactly.
You can invite them to speak at your event or internal development session or whatever, or school. These are just very, very approachable people. And they're open. They want to speak.
Fantastic.
They want to talk to you. Share their stories.
There you go. Do that, people.
Do it.
I saw you talking. No, it's a tweet from today or yesterday or the day before about a TEDx salon.
TEDx salon, yeah. So salon are another licensed events that we have to apply for. So basically, what this means is I've just applied for the TEDx Wellington salon license.
Okay. So I can get my haircut. Lovely.
It's funny in the salon. Most people know salon just as for hairdressing, but salons are just also another word for like meetups.
Yep.
Right, small meetups, small scale meetups.
There you go.
So the license enabled us to run under 100 meetups now throughout the year in between the two main.
Under
events.
100 people or 100?
Under 100 people.
Okay, yeah.
So 100 people or less. And it's a way to keep the community engaged between the two annual events.
Yes.
So we'll be looking for venues, and we're currently looking at venues to host us to do that. But it's more a conversation. So those events, we don't have to have any speakers. It's more a get together, show some videos, and converse and connect.
Oh, okay.
And we'll probably run them as evening events, and probably do 3 or 4 in between the two main events throughout the year, just to keep in touch with people, keep a conversation ticket.
So do you know? I mean, you've applied or you've got? Sorry?
Just applied. So hopefully within the next month or so, I'll hear back. They're usually good. You turn around in 3 weeks. So by the time this podcast might be out, and I'll be going, it's already there.
Fantastic.
And we'll be advertising it through TEDxWellington.com. So sign up for the email newsletter there.
Yep.
And that's where we'll be pushing all the collateral and information.
Fantastic. So you're still doing work with clients here and the social media-y stuff? What's the difference between what you do now and what you used to do? And also, I suppose, same question, it's that 3 years behind stuff. Are you not repeating yourself, but are you finding that, yes, we're 3 years behind, but I'm not having to answer it the same way now because the technology's moved on or everything else has moved on?
It's much easier to answer it just because I've got a lot of content around. Over the years, I've written blog posts and stuff. So when someone asked me to
there it is.
I can just point them to it, which is fantastic. So the stuff that I'm doing at the moment, is more advisory mentorship things. Sitting 1-to-1 or 1 to 2 or 3 people, I'm doing very little training. I used to do a huge amount of that, developing and delivering bespoke training courses. I enjoy that, so I did it recently for Creative HQ, for example, with their startups.
Okay.
I went in there over a course of a few weeks and delivered how to use social for startups, you know. And all of that is around, there's a marketing angle, there's also a community angle and a peer relationship angle to build up between people around the globe who are doing similar stuff and learning from them and creating bastions of your stuff and ambassadors, stuff like that. A lot of it is really, like I say, trying to ask better questions, you know, and
educate or upskills the wrong phrase. Provoke from them to ask better questions. You mean
me to ask them better questions, which then leads them on to ask better questions. Definitely, because most people are like, how do I get more followers on Twitter?
Yes.
To me, that's not a good question.
No.
To me, is like the better question would be, how do I add more value through Twitter?
Yes.
Which will then endear people to you, so therefore that you'll get more followers, right? That's an example of a better question.
Yeah.
You know, how do I, blog more? Really,
Just
maybe
right. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe the questions around there is, how do I develop my curation skills?
Yeah.
Which then I've got more content, which will enable me to blog more, right? So those are the type of things I really try to challenge people with, and then help them with, like, how do I actually do that then, and curation and stuff like that is an emerging skill set in the digital terms. There's a huge amount of platforms you can use, leverage like RSS or Pinterest or Tumblr, these aggregating sources, but you still need to filter them and mark them up and get them working for you. So that's kind of what I do.
Fantastic. So I'm going to ask two more questions. Right, one more question.
One more.
Which is going to be, and you can think about it, which is going to be, I'm going to ask, it's not going to be the question, because the moment I say it, this is the question.
Lay it on me.
What do you hope from the social side of technology? What do you really hope will happen in the next 10 years or in your lifetime? When you go, there, that was it. We got there or something. Whilst you're thinking about it, let everyone... No, you're going to... Well, and then when you're done, let people know where they can find you and get in touch with you. You could do that in any order you want, DK.
To answer your question about what I'm hoping people will get from this, really simply, two things.
Yeah.
One, they'll find their voice. Most people don't use social to find their voice. They think they should have a voice already, but when you start blogging, you're not very good at it. For a reason, you're just starting.
Yeah.
Most people think the writing, that's the barrier to entry. Well, maybe you do a photo blog. Yeah. Maybe do a video blog, or an audio blog. So it's finding your voice. That's the one thing. So that's a very personal thing. And then more societal, cultural thing. I want people to become more informed. If you read the papers today, watch the news. To me, that's not the news. That's why I don't have TVs and don't buy paper anymore. Because it seems to me there's a disconnect between what really happens to how we want the world, how the media wants you to see the world. And I'm not being, conspiracy theories stuff there, but I feel far more informed by not watching the news than I do when I did. So, and we need to get better informed and really dig deeper of our politicians and our leaders this way. And you can use that using social media. And how do people find me? My weblog is the obvious one, website, justadinak.com, but you got to spell that. It's not DK, it's JUST for Tommy, ADANDAK.com.
It's like you're writing it out, just D and K. Right out of all out.com.
And then I'm on Just a DNK as well, spelled out at Twitter and stuff. But if you go to my site, you'll find all the other areas.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, DK. That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, buddies.
Fantastic interview with DK there. I particularly like the way he talks about constantly learning. I mean, he did that innovation podcast, and for him that was mostly around how he could reach out to those that work in that space and learn from them. That's a brilliant way of doing it. And also that just reach out to people. We've heard that a few times. Reaching out to people is grand. So it's a fantastic interview from DK. Thanks so much, mate. Right, call to action. Go to Twitter. You're all on Twitter, eh? And do a search for Access Granted, then save it. That's now how you get your show list.
Now, and we also like to thank those who have been retweeting our bits and pieces and clicking through and listening to our podcast, basically, on the new page. That's awesome. Thanks, guys.
Wonderful. And next week we're going to have one of the last interviews we did up at TechEd a while ago. We're not sure which one we're going to choose yet, but it'll be one of the last ones. It might be the Intergen one, or it might be the Microsoft Enterprise Guides.
That's right.
We'll see which one we're going to do. So,
depends on timing. It's all timing.
does.
As always, don't take our jibber jabber as gospel. All the bits and bobs of our podcast are on our page at #me.co.nz.
And on Twitter, look for me at Miramar Mike and Raj at NZRaj, where you'll find our daily #AccessGranted updates. Desperate to email us, use accessgranted at #me.co.nz. And of course, for all the hashtag goodness, such as updates, news, prizes, and all the news about the awesomeness that they just had this weekend,
That's right.
and much more, go to the #me.co.nz website.
Thanks for your time, and see you next Tuesday for the Kiwi Tech News for those who make the computers do what they do. Ka kite anō.
#me.co.nz